All right, with today's farm news and information, I'm Joanna Guza. Today, I feel like I am amongst royalty. I have Brayden Peter with the Howards Grove FFA Chapter. He recently won the Wisconsin Star Farmer Award at the State FFA Convention. The Star Farmer Award recognizes students in production agriculture working with entrepreneurship programs ranging from animals all the way to crops. This is quite the accomplishment. So I'm really excited to have Brayden here to go through it with us. Brayden, could you first start off by telling me about the process of this award?
Yep. So first we had to fill out our state degree application, which was a neat experience. And then we also had to fill out a supporting application for the Star Farmer Award. There were 4 different categories that we could have done it in, and I did it in the Star Farmer category. And it was kind of a long application process. And then once they looked over the applications, they wanted to interview with some of the applicants, the finalists. And one of them was, of course, I got an interview because I was one of the finalists. And then, so I did the interview a few weeks before state convention. And down at state convention, they called all the kind of stars over Wisconsin. So like there was the Star Farmer, the Star and Ag Placement, I think 2 other categories. And of course, the Star Farmer was last. So the nerves were setting in there. It was it was real. I was really nervous during the whole process of it, but then I was able to pull it off and become Star Farmer or Wisconsin. So it was pretty awesome to say that I'm the Star Farmer.
Right. What an accomplishment. Well, let's get into the meat of this interview because
Mhm,
I know people really want to know about your farm and learn more about what your future plans are. So,
mhm.
Brayden, if you could start off by telling me about your farm.
Yep. So me and my family, we own and operate Peter Family Show Pigs out of Howards Grove, Wisconsin. The farm houses about 30 sows, 25 to 30 at a time, depending on the time of year and all that. And usually 2 boars. Of the sows, I own around 15 to 18 of them. Also, I own both of the boars. And then we try to farrow out 25 to 30 litters a year, primarily show pig litters in the spring. And then what we'll do is we'll take those piglets and then we'll sell them to local youth for their 4-H projects to exhibit at their county fair, state fair, or we've also sold some pigs nationally or nationwide. So pretty cool.
That is very cool. And it sounds like you have a really busy schedule because you kind
Oh
of
yeah.
say
Oh yeah.
kind of casual, but we know that you have your school extracurricular
Yep.
activities, but
Yep.
then also running the farm. So out of, raising pigs, what part is most interesting to you?
I would say probably the whole breeding process, from being able to pick out which boars I can use to breed to my sows, and then waiting that 114 days till those piglets hit the ground, and then being able to raise those piglets and exhibit them across the state and country is just, that part's just really cool to me, to see that piglet be born and then I get to see it grow up through its whole life. It's just,
Mhm.
it's one of those experiences that you can't really uh, you have to be there in order to know how awesome it is.
Mhm. And I know your dad probably oversees or your mom or
Mhm.
whoever else is
Yep.
involved with the farm.
Yep.
Is there anyone else that has helped you along the way when you talk about the breeding process and once they have their babies?
I mean, really, it was kind of trial by error in a sense. I mean, it's kind of just been a whole learning experience since we started. I want to say we started breeding pigs around 10 years ago. And I think we started with like 2 sows. We've kind of gathered knowledge from other breeders across the state that we've worked with. But really, it's just kind of been us on our own trying to figure this whole process out.
What have been some of the big lessons you've learned in terms of breeding pigs?
Probably wait, like with our crossbreds, we want to wait with them to breed them till they're about 12 to 13 months old, because we found out that if we breed them around the same time as our purebreds, that they tend to have difficulties farrowing. And we've learned by having a couple C-sections So, but once we kind of figured that out, we haven't had a, knock on wood, we haven't had a C-section in a couple of years now. But like that's kind of been one of the big moments that we've learned to kind of watch when we're breeding our animals.
And is that because the piglets are bigger?
No, it's mainly because the sow's smaller, and especially with the show pigs. I mean, they're different. Show pigs are different from the commercial pigs, and show pigs tend to be more muscular in form. So when we give them that extra time, they kind of soften up and grow into their frame, and they're bigger and they're able to push out those piglets a lot more easy.
Well, very interesting, Brayden. You are educating me on this. I was a pig shower back in the day, but I'll tell you, I wasn't that intense. I'd like the check to go to college. So we're talking with
Yeah.
Brayden Peter. He's with the Howards Grove FFA. He recently won the Wisconsin Star Farmer, and we're talking about his the Peter family show pigs, his business
Mhm.
that he's running with his parents. Can you tell me what characteristics you look for when breeding pigs?
So when we breed our pigs, I mean, it's kind of also with how we pick out our show pigs. We want to, for our gilts, we want to make sure they're structurally sound, because a 3 or 4 year old sow, if they can't get up and move around in the pen or get up and down in the crate, it's just going to cause a lot of problems. So if they're able to be structurally sound and walk across that pen with no issues, I mean, that's a major successful point for us, because if they're structurally sound, I mean, those piglets will be structurally sound. And kind of looking at the boars. So we breed all our sows artificial insemination, AI.
Mhm.
So we use different boar studs across the country to get semen for our pigs. And most of the time we don't really get to go to those farms and look at them. So most of the time in the fall before breeding season, I'll be sitting on the computer for probably about an hour or two or a day,
Wow.
looking at videos of different boars to see which ones would fit with our sows that we have.
Hmm.
And then we kind of make sure those boars are kind of structurally sound too. So we make sure those piglets are structurally sound, but then we also kind of look at what's trending in the show pig industry right now, because the show pig industry is constantly changing every day. I mean, show pigs from 10 to 15 years ago look completely different than show pigs nowadays. So, I mean, we kind of want to make sure we're staying up with the trend, because we want to be competitive in the show ring, because I mean, we do this because we love it. We enjoy it. So, I mean, being able to stay competitive in the ring helps us kind of pick out which boars that we want to breed to ourselves.
And what are some of those trending items now in show pigs? If you can name
So,
a few.
right now they kind of want them pigs to be, they want to have them have like an up-headed look, kind of walk uphill. So it's kind of their front end is taller than their back end.
Okay.
And right now, a big thing in the show pig industry is that they want pigs shaggy. So a few years ago, it was kind of like they want them clipped tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's kind of, they want to kind of clean up the front, the head through the neck, and then they kind of want to leave the rest of the body longer with hair, which I thought is kind of interesting. But yeah.
Right. It almost makes them probably look a little less clean, but kind of like with cows, can you shape them a
Yep.
little bit
Yes.
then?
Yep. Yep. You
Okay.
can. Yep. It's
And
kind of been becoming a bigger thing now, is kind of fitting pigs is becoming a thing now, just like how you fit beef cattle
right.
before their show. Yeah.
And Brayden, I don't know if I missed this, but you were describing when you were talking about, breeding your pigs, you're saying structurally sound. Can you
Yep.
define what that means?
So structurally sound, I mean by that, by like the animal is able to walk freely. I mean, kind of like cattle in the sense where you want them to take that back step and kind of track with that front step. You don't want them to you want them to be comfortable. I mean, if they're structurally sound, they'll be comfortable and they'll be able to move across the pen. And you kind of want them to be square in the back end, because so they're not, it's kind of hard to talk about this without being able to kind of show it on the animal, but you kind of want the animal to be square. You want them to be straight from the hip to their pastern. You don't want them to angle in because that's an issue in itself, but you want to make sure they're able to walk freely across the ring or the pen. That's what I kind of mean by structurally sound.
Okay. We're talking with Brayden Peter. He's with the Howards Grove. I have someone that I know his last name's Peter, so I know I'm going to keep doing that. He's with the Howards Grove FFA. So do you have future plans of taking over the pig farm?
Yeah, I mean, I want to stick in with it because I kind of put all this effort into it the past 10, 12 years. And if I kind of just got out of it, it would have been all for nothing.
Mhm.
And it's a family operation, and it wouldn't really be the same if like I left it or if one of my parents left it, because we're in it together, and I really just I enjoy it, and it's always been a part of my life, and I don't really see it going anywhere in the future.
Right. I think that's really special. And I'm
Yep.
usually an optimistic person, but I'm curious from your sense, just being very involved in the
Mhm.
industry and at such a young age, what are some future challenges that make you nervous about staying involved with swine production?
I feel like the ag industry in itself is kind of starting to decline, in the sense like you have all these urban development areas like that are taking away farmland, and it's
Mhm.
kind of hard because we kind of need this farmland if we're going to have the population increasing, because what I think it said by 2050 the population is supposed to grow by another billion people, and
Mhm.
that's scary because if we don't have the farmland to feed these people, how are we going to feed these people? So
Mhm.
that's kind of one of the challenges that scares me, that as an industry we kind of need to face, is trying to figure out how we can feed all these people with kind of less space.
Mhm. Right. And in your case too, with your the pig farm, do you guys
Mhm.
grow your own crops to feed your pigs, or do you purchase your feed from a facility or feed mill?
We mainly purchase our feed from a feed mill,
Mhm.
but we have a field that we rent out, and then another one that we have 18 acres of oats planted in it. I mean, their diet's not really mainly consisted of oats, but we can sell the oats, make a little profit, and then we can use the straw to bed the animals. So it's kind of, in a sense, a win-win. I mean, we get
Mhm.
to make a little money off the oats, but we get to use the straw as a bedding source for our animals. But we really mainly we buy most of our feed for our animals.
Okay. We're talking with Brayden Peter. He is with the Grove FFA. He just won the Wisconsin Star Farmer Award. Two more questions and then we'll wrap up this interview. What are some lessons learned from FFA and being involved on the farm?
Probably one lesson that sticks with me the most is persistence pays off, because the more time and effort you put into something, the more you'll get out of it. And whenever I think about it, I mean, more work you put into it, the more you get out. And that's kind of whenever anything bad happens around the farm, I just kind of think, all right, push through it. It'll pay off in the end. It'll pay off in the end. And I mean, like this past year, all the hard work I put into it, I was able to become the uh, Wisconsin State Fair Supreme exhibitor for the swine, which was
Awesome.
pretty cool, especially with like all the work I would put in with the animals. I was able to become the star farmer. So, I mean, just that lesson in itself is kind of one that sticks with me the most, is
Mhm.
that the more time and effort you put into it, the more you'll get out of it.
Right.
And kind of from the FFA sense of it, uh, all the leadership roles that I've had, from being president to treasurer, just kind of being on that upper side of the FFA chapter, has allowed me to grow my leadership roles. One kind of memory that sticks out to me is we do this day on the farm for the kindergartners in our school district,
Mhm.
and being able to teach those little kids about the farm and ag industry is just kind of a sentimental memory that I have.
Right. And I think one thing that's really special is, Brayden, are you 18,
Yep.
17,
Yep.
18?
18.
And I feel
Yep.
like you've learned so many skills, and that's just from,
Mhm.
being involved in FFA and being on the
Yep.
farm. And that's a special trait that you'll carry then, into the workforce. And
Mhm.
with that, what are some of your future plans, Brayden?
Well, this fall, I plan to attend UW Platteville and pursue a degree in animal science. And then I want to use that degree to hopefully kind of find a job in the nutrition field, because the nutrition side of the industry has always, uh, I can't think of the word now. The nutrition side of the field has always uh, been kind of remarkable to me, being
Mhm.
able to see how different feed additives can affect an animal is just
Mhm.
kind of pretty cool to me. And I would like to be able to pass some of the knowledge I've learned and pass it on to future exhibitors and future kind of other kids in the industry.
And do you think you'll specialize in pigs?
Probably, more than likely. I mean, hoping livestock and probably an emphasis on pigs, but yeah.
Right. Well, we're talking with Brayden Peter. To wrap up this interview, the last question I wanted to ask you is, fair season's just around the
Mhm.
corner. Wisconsin State Fair is coming up. What advice do you have for young pig showers? How can they be successful in the show ring?
Probably just get out in the ring and show. I mean, the more times you're able to show that animal, you're able to kind of put yourself ahead of 50% of the other exhibitors, because a lot, especially at my county fair, the only show that they show at is their county fair.
Mhm.
So if you're able to get out and show that animal more, you're able to put yourself ahead of most of those other exhibitors, because then you know how that animal's going to react and handle in the ring. And you can use that to your advantage, because if that pig gets tired quicker in the ring, walk it longer at home. I mean, just being kind of working with that animal kind of puts yourself ahead of all the other exhibitors. And the
Well, you
more time and effort you put into it, you'll be able to get out at the end.
Yeah, and you just sparked another question now, thinking about, so you talk about being in the show ring, but what are
Mhm.
some of those tips for prepping to go to the show ring? So you're talking about practicing at home. What are some things that you've done to practice to make sure you're prepared to understand your pig?
Probably just walking it in general every day. I mean, I'll walk majority of my pigs will get walked 10 to 15 minutes a day at least. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of set a little obstacle course out in our yard to kind of walk our pigs around as a mock show ring, to kind
Mhm.
of make sure that animal kind of knows what's going on and to see how it'll handle. Because most of the time I'll have one pig, especially in our jackpot showing season, I'll have one pig that I use as a showmanship pig,
Okay.
and that one is kind of the best one that kind of floats around the ring for me. But I'll do that with my other pigs to make sure that they're able to be up to snuff in a sense,
Mhm.
that they're able to walk around the ring just as easily.
Well, Brayden, whoever's listening to this just won their showmanship class, I know, with those tips. So we're talking with Brayden Peter. He is with the Howards Grove FFA Chapter. He was recently won the Wisconsin Star Farmer. Thank you so much for your time for this interview.
Oh, absolutely.